שבת אחים גם יחד.
Welcome to everyone here in the rain, under the tent, luckily, and to everybody at home joining us. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad that we have this opportunity to be together, not only online, but also in person. I want to make sure we all understand that we are all one Kehillah Kedosha, one sacred community moving through this most sacred day together. And those of you who are watching, we feel your presence with us, and we're so glad that you are with us on this day. So we're glad to see people of all ages here, and that was our hope, and that's one of the strengths of our community, is that we are a community of many generations. And some of our most precious moments are spent together, with generations sitting and praying and singing and eating and just being together. So it's really a joy to see many generations represented here. And no matter how old we are, we're beginning this new year where we're in this time and this day of the gates being open, the gates that we need to walk through into the new year. And we think about the way the last year has been, and who we have been, and who we want to be, and maybe some of the mistakes we've made and what we want to do better. And it's not a sad day, it's a joyful day, because we have so much possibility in each of us to be the best version of ourselves, and to help each other and to love each other. And most importantly, we go through this day together as community and as the Jewish people all around the world. So for those who I haven't met, I am Rabbi Audrey Berkman. I'm here with Rabbi Daniel Schaefer and our music educator, Josh Cohen. And Rabbi Schaefer, if you want to add a few words.
We're going to begin this morning by asking God to inscribe us for a good year in the book of life. And this is a prayer we can think first about ourselves, asking God to keep us healthy, to help us have a good year. And then think about our families, our parents, our children, our cousins, our loved ones. And then think about our community. And when you go beyond the community, think about all the Jewish people in Massachusetts, all the Jewish people in the United States, and all the Jewish people in the world. And this is a prayer that we ask God to bring us health and life and peace, not just for ourselves, but for the Jewish people wherever they are. We're going to begin on page 112 in our prayer books with B'Sefer HaChaim.
B'Sefer Chaim Beracha. Sorry. B'Sefer Chaim Beracha V'Shalom U'Parnasa Tova Nizacher V'Nikatev לפניך אנחנו בכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום ברוך אתה אדוני עושה
Josh and Rabbi Berkman and myself have a lot of help in leading this morning's service, and it's my pleasure to invite up Sydney Kesselheim to lead us in our first reading, which can be found on page 73, Every Day Holds.
Yeah, they wrapped it up good. I would tilt it down.
Every day holds the beauty and wonder of the first day of creation. The high holy days remind us that new beginnings are precious and powerful. On this day, we begin our service with gratitude. We thank Adonai, the source of blessings, for the opportunity to start a new page of our individual stories. We will work with Adonai and one another to open our eyes and our hearts to new ideas, bring freedom to all people, stand strong and together against injustice, celebrate the image of God found in every person, give of ourselves to strengthen our communities, empower all people by honoring their voices, We thank you, Adonai, for these opportunities to bring blessings into this world. We thank you, Adonai, for filling this moment with potential.
Thank you, Sydney. That was wonderful. So I'm going to ask that we rise for Baruch Hu. We're on page 76.
Yalai lai lai, 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 yalai lai lai. Am I awake? Am I awake? Prepared? Am I prepared? Are you listening? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you hear my voice? Understand? Can you understand? Awake, prepared. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalai, yalai, lai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. You all respond. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalai lai lai, 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 yalai lai lai.
So every morning and every night, it's Jewish tradition to say the Shema. And when we're at services, we say some blessings before the Shema. But they're different in the morning and in the evening. And right now, it's neither morning nor evening. We're in the middle of the afternoon. But we're going to use what we usually say in the morning, which is the Yotzer Or blessing. Both the blessings in the morning and evening ask us to really notice light. How many people here have noticed that it's getting dark a lot earlier than it was not very long ago? Yeah, I've really been noticing that. So being Jewish is sometimes just about paying attention to things that we might just not notice. It's really important to notice and actually be amazed and say, wow, you know, the seasons change. Soon the colors of the leaves will change. The light changes. The light looks different in the morning and at night. So in the morning, we give thanks for God as the creator of light. Without light, creation could not exist. And you know, our planet is situated exactly the right distance from the sun so that we don't burn up from the sun, but so that everything around us can grow. So much needs sunlight, including ourselves. We don't have very much sunlight here where we're all standing in Brookline, Massachusetts right now. It is gray and it is rainy. But I'd like to ask for all of you to think about light that is changing, light that is shifting as the seasons shift. And if anyone, it's going to be hard to see and call on people, but if there's anyone out there of any age who wants to just share something that you've noticed about light, could be something recently, or maybe you saw a beautiful sunset or a sunrise, anything you want to share before we say this Yotzer Or blessing, just shout it out. All right, go ahead.
I think it's neat that sometimes light is different colors.
Yeah. And I also think the light of even a gray day is kind of amazing.
Was that a hand I saw, Sydney?
Oh, does Sydney want to share? Can you say something nice and loud? Seeing a rainbow is such an awesome treat. Did you know that there's a blessing for seeing a rainbow? There's a Jewish blessing?
What?
How many people knew that?
Just make it up.
Oh, good. It's one of my favorite things to let people know about because it's so cool. And whenever you see a rainbow, you can say, you might not remember. You can email me and I'll send it to you next time you see a rainbow, or just call me. No, look it up. You can Google it. It's Baruch Atah Adonai, right? Blessed are you, Adonai, Zocher Habrit, God who remembers the covenant. And that's because in the story of Noah, when a new world began, the rainbow was going to be a sign of that covenant, of God's promise to humanity, that God would never again destroy the world. So it's really special to see a rainbow. We have all kinds of blessings for seeing all kinds of sights in this world. And right now, right here in the middle of the afternoon on a gray day, we are going to give thanks for the creator of light.
Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. Amen. It's my pleasure to invite up our next reader, Hannah Polk, who is going to lead us on page 81 in God Loves Stretches.
And you can be seated. Sorry, I didn't say that before.
God's love stretches. From top to bottom, it stretches and grows and melds the beginning and end. God's love reaches. From start to finish, it reaches and spreads, forgetting just where it began. God's love teaches. The stories and laws and rules and prayers, it teaches us best how to live. In love, we listen. We too can stretch, we too can reach, and we too can teach as we seek the new year ahead. Wrap us up in your peace like a great big tallit. Hold us close with this prayer in your love.
Thank you so much. We have some amazing leaders today. Thank you to all of our volunteers.
We conclude with the blessing at the bottom of page 81. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. And we join together on page 82 for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. I just want to point out that second line we usually do very quietly, and in some communities they say it silently, except on this day. On Yom Kippur, we say those words aloud, as in ancient times the priests would say those words at the ancient temple.
We continue with V'ahavta on page 84.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. We give thanks for our freedom and we sing our song of our redemption on page 86.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף
It's my pleasure to invite up Jackson to lead us in a reading. On page 87, we are at a holy time of the year, and we're going to learn a little bit about what happens.
During the holiest days of our year, we renew our promise to stand up for what's right. We will not stand with our feet frozen to the ground and our arms linked by our sides. We will not stay silent while our voice is needed. We will not hide. We will not walk away. When people are sad, we will comfort them. When people are mean, we will stop them. When someone is hungry, we will feed them. When someone is cold, we will find them shelter. When there are tears, we will dry them. When there are hopes, we will support them. We know how slavery and sadness feel. We renew His promise our day, not to stand idly while others are suffering. We renew His promise today to bring all people into our song of freedom.
Thank you, Jackson.
Thank you, Jackson. We move to the Amidah, and we offer our prayers. During the Amidah and the High Holy Days, we add in special insertions, asking God to remember us and to inscribe us for a book of life. So some of these melodies you're going to know, and we hope you can pray along with us, and some of them may not be as familiar, but they're very important, and we say them only at this time of year. So we turn to page 90 for the Amidah, and I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Adonai, Sifatai Tifta, Ufia Giteilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Page 92. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו ביהבה. And now we turn to page 94, and this is one of the special prayers that gets inserted in the Amidah and the High Holy Days. We say, remember us for life. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. מלך חוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. Amen. Page 96. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. Page 98. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. Amen. On page 100, we are going to chant Unatana Tokef. We're going to say that today the book of life is open and we decide through our actions, through our words, will we be written for in the book of a good life. With teshuvah, with turning to our best selves, to being the best version of ourselves we can be. And by the way, there's only one person like you in this world, and only you can be you. And you all, no matter your age, you all have things to teach other people. You all have gifts that you can give other people. You all have special ways of being in the world. So by doing teshuvah and remembering who we are, by tefillah, by praying, especially when we're together in community, and tzedakah, giving whatever money we can give, giving our time to volunteer, those are all ways that will help us be sealed in the book of a good life in the coming year. Page 100. Unetane tokef kedushat hayom כי הוא נורא והיום בראש השנה ייכתבון וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון בראש השנה ייכתבון וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. Going to read together on page 100. Today you open the book of life so that we can read what is written on its pages. Today you ask us to open our hearts and reflect on what we have said and done this past year. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed. But throughout the year, the book of life is open, and the choices we make leave a mark on our world. And so we ask ourselves and each other, who will choose to live a good life? Whose hands will cause hurt, and whose hands will help heal? Who will speak up, and who will be silent? Who will be wise enough to learn from others? Who will be strong enough to make good choices? Who will be greedy and who will be grateful? Who will break people down and who will build people up? Who will choose to be a blessing? Everyone take a moment and look at your hands. And remember that your hands can be used to help or to hurt. Your words, your mouth can be used to help or to hurt. We have so much power in us. We have so much power to help other people, to help them feel better, to just use simple words of kindness, to use our hands to be givers in this world, to give our money, to give our time. We had some students recently who planted some beautiful plants here that you can see behind the truck. They used their hands for good. They brought beautiful plants, which are such a beautiful symbol of life, to our temple parking lot and our grounds. So those hands that you have today, don't forget that you can use them to help and heal this world. Uteshuva, utefila, utzedaka, mavirin et roa hagzera. Through return to the right path, being ourselves, through prayer and through righteous giving, we can earn a new page in the book of life and write a better story in the new year. At this time, you can, I feel like you've been standing for a long time, so why don't you sit down? I'm going to introduce what you're going to do next, and for that you can choose to sit or stand. But this wonderful new Machzor, High Holy Day prayer book for families that we were able to purchase thanks to some generous contributions this year has a beautiful blessing in it on page 107. So there's a tradition, and some of you may partake in this tradition, of blessing your children on Friday nights as we welcome Shabbat or on the eve of a holy day. But I love that in this book, you remember that children can be blessers also. And children can bless parents and caregivers. And parents and other adults can bless children, and children can bless as well. So I'm going to invite you to take a moment to give blessing to one another. And I think you can use the words on the page that are there on 107, just with each other in your family groups. And then we'll join back together for the priestly blessing.
I told him I'll give him a signal for the Sefer Chaim when we're singing that. He'll come up here and get his violin.
So beautiful to see these blessings happening. It's really powerful to witness that from this perspective. So much love going on in this tent, so much blessing. May you carry that forward into the new year. We don't always take the time to share blessings with each other in the midst of our busy lives on regular days, but let's remember what it felt like to bless and to be blessed. And I'm going to give you all now the priestly blessing, which are the most ancient words of blessing known to us. But you don't have to be a rabbi to give the priestly blessing. Every one of you, just like kids and grown-ups alike, just said words of blessing to each other. You can all, in every moment, choose to be a blessing and bring blessing through your words and your actions in this world. So my blessing for you today is really a way of empowering you to remember that you too can be one who gives and brings blessing. So I'm going to be on page 111. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ken yehi ratzon, may it be so. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God's light shine upon you and may God be gracious to you. Ken yehi ratzon, may it be so. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace. Ken yehi ratzon, may it be so.
We turn to page 112 and we return to the song that we opened with this morning, Sefer Chaim, asking God to remember us and to inscribe us for a good life in the book of life.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
It's my pleasure to welcome Max Kesselheim to join us as we offer a prayer for peace, Ohabei Shalom, on page 130. And we reach out to God by the names we call God most often at this time, our Father, our King, on page 114.
So first, Ohabei Shalom is on 113. Thank you, Max.
Osei Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yasei Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, Imru Amen. Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
That was beautiful and such a treat and such a blessing to have Max joining on violin. We're going to have more of Max for Avinu Malkeinu, which is on page 114. These are some of the most ancient words that have been sung for centuries upon centuries, generations upon generation. Avinu Malkeinu, please have compassion on us. And we're admitting that even if we think we are sometimes, we're not perfect. We're also admitting we're not always in charge. We're not always in control. That can be hard to remember as a grown-up. There's Avinu Malkeinu, something, those words mean a parent, a father, a king, but just means something that is beyond us, that binds us all together and that is beyond all of us. And we can let that power take the wheel a little bit and remember that we're not in charge of anything, of everything all the time. But God is also can be a loving parent and can fill us with love and compassion for ourselves. So glad Max will join us as we sing along Avinu Malkeinu on page 114.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chonheinu Vanheinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonheinu Vanheinu, Ki ein panu masim, Aseim hanu, Tzedaka v'chesed, Aseim hanu, Tzedaka v'chesed v'roshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonheinu Vanheinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chonheinu Vanheinu, Ki ein panu masim.
By the way, we welcome participation, musical participation, any kind of participation.
Please fulfill my dream of having a TOS youth band and choir. I would love that so much.
And so please let us know. You can reach out to me, to Rabbi Schaefer, or to Josh, or to all three of us, and say, hey, I play music, or I love to sing, and we're going to make this happen. Max is just the leader and the inspiration, and we're so glad you reached out and offered your beautiful musical gifts today.
I actually feel like I discovered Max because I saw him when he was just busking around Jamaica Pond, which is a true story. That's how he raised money for his mitzvah project. And now you've made it big time. You're leading services at Temple Ohabei Shalom. So thank you. On Yom Kippur afternoon, we read one of my favorite stories in all of Torah, which is the book of Jonah. And Jonah is a prophet, but a somewhat reluctant prophet. And God turns to Jonah and asks for help. Says, I have a big project for you. You may not like it, but I need you to go to this city of Nineveh and tell people that they need to do teshuvah. They need to repent What they've been doing, the way they've been living, has been wrong. And Jonah does the exact opposite. Instead of going to Nineveh, he goes right the other way, down to the sea, onto a boat, and off into the ocean. Because sometimes when we're asked to help, we don't want to do it. Maybe we're afraid. Maybe we think we're going to fail. Maybe the project is too big. But instead of doing what we're asked, we run away in the other direction. And that's just what Jonah did. And he tried to get as far away as he possibly could. And God gave him every sign to try and turn him back. The sea got stormy. The boat almost turned over. Everybody else who was on that ship asked God, prayed to their own gods, asking for forgiveness. And Jonah just stood there knowing that all along he was the one responsible for that stormy sea. Finally, he owned up to what he did, and he told his shipmates to throw him into the water. But God didn't want Jonah to drown in the ocean. God wanted Jonah's help. And so he put him on a little bit of a timeout, maybe a little different timeout than any of us have ever experienced. It happened in the belly of a whale. And for 3 days, Jonah sat inside the belly of a giant fish in the water. And he had a chance to think about his choices and what he had done. And by the end of those 3 days, he was ready to fulfill God's request. And so he went to Nineveh and he told them, repent, turn from your ways, learn to do good. And guess what? The people listened. Everybody, from the lowliest person to the king to all of the cattle in Nineveh, repented. They put on sackcloth and ashes and they asked for forgiveness. And God changed his mind. Instead of punishing them, God forgave them. But Jonah, he was a difficult fellow. And rather than feeling successful for having done what God had asked and it's saving all these people, he was upset. And it always sticks with me, the way that Jonah reacts. Instead of being happy that these people were going to be saved and that their lives were going to be preserved, he's frustrated and he's disappointed. And I think about all the times in my life when I have wanted something really big, whether it's a present or a job or a role at school or to make a sports team or to play in a choir, and I got it, and then I wasn't happy about it. And instead I was disappointed because I thought it was going to be more special than it was. And sometimes what we have to do is we have to be grateful, really grateful for the things we get, and even grateful when we don't get what we want. And so it's a lesson that I take from Jonah and that I hopefully we can all take with us into this new year, is that whether we're able to receive the things we want, we always have to find our way into gratitude. And hopefully if somebody comes and asks us for our help, we will say yes right away instead of running in the other direction and ending up in the belly of a whale. We're going to have an opportunity this afternoon to pray for those that we loved, for those who are in need of healing of body and mind and of spirit. And before we sing our Misha Berach prayer, I want to invite anybody who is saying a prayer of healing today to raise their hand or to stand up if they'd like to share their name out loud. And I'll bring my hand across the room and happy to have you say those names out loud. Heather? Thank you. Jessica? Thank you. For all those mentioned today and for all those on our hearts, we turn to page 123 in our prayer book to sing Misha Berach.
Berach Avotenu Mekor habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless
Shalema,
the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
On Yom Kippur, we have a couple opportunities to offer our confessions for the ways that we have missed the mark this year. When we do so together in community, we say them in the plural. We say that we did these things. And we may not have done each of them individually, but there's a couple reasons that when we say these confessions, we say we have done them. And one of the reasons is that I know it's very hard to admit when I've done something wrong or I've hurt somebody. It's very hard to confess when we made a mistake. And so when we say together, we have done those things, we create the space for the people who know in their hearts that they have to also say it out loud. We also say them as a community because we know we are connected to each other, and that even if we haven't done these things individually, someone in our community has. And so we seek to take responsibility for them, to ask God for forgiveness for all the ways that we have come up short in this year. We turn to 136 to offer the short confession.
Please rise.
Friends, make a fist with me, please. Make a fist. Oh, I need to stand as well because I need all this. No, it's all good. Friends, we need to check in with your heart today. Have you checked in with your heart, with your body? Because we are about to say a whole bunch of things that, as Rabbi Schaefer, we did wrong. We need to open up our hearts and make sure our heart is ready to take in the words that we're saying. Can you give your heart a little bit of a tap, friends? Tap your heart. Hey, heart, you there with me? We got to do the doobie now. All right, give it a little bit of a tap. And we're going to tap our heart. And it goes like this. Tap, tap, tap your heart, and tap, tap, tap your heart, tap, tap, tap your heart. On Yom Kippur, it's time to restart. Say, on Yom Kippur, it's time to restart. Sing it out.
On Yom Kippur, it's time to
Amazing.
restart.
From the top. Tap, tap, tap your heart, tap, tap, tap your heart, tap, tap, tap your heart. On Yom Kippur, it's time to restart. Ay, 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 ay. All right, so you're going to repeat after me. Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibanu Dofi, Hevinu, Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Chamasnu, Telfanu Sheker. Tap your heart now. Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap your heart. On Yom Kippur, it's time to restart. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 Yatznura, Kizavnu, Latznu, Maradnu, Niatznu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Oref.
Kishinu
Tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. On Yom Kippur, it's time to restart. Ay, 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 ay. Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tainu,
Titanu.
Titanu.
Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. On Yom Kippur, it's time to restart. Ay, 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 ay,
We remain standing and we turn to page 138 for the long confession. I invite you to join me as we read together in English the ways that we have committed wrong and that we are asking for forgiveness. For all these wrongs, O God, we ask your forgiveness. For the wrong that we have committed before you with a confused heart. For the wrong that we have committed before you by lying. For the wrong that we have committed before you by making excuses. For the wrong that we have committed before you without meaning to do so. For the wrong that we have committed before you by being unkind to others. For all these wrongs, O God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
Ve'al kulam Eloha slichot selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu.
We're welcome to be seated. And it's my pleasure to invite up Bennett Stark to lead us in a reading on page 139. The Hebrew word for sin is really translated as missing the mark. It comes from bow and arrows. And so we talk about the ways that we've missed the mark this year.
Sometimes we miss the mark or we don't try our best. Sometimes we miss the mark on purpose and sometimes by accident. Sometimes we miss the mark by not caring and sometimes by being mean. Sometimes we miss the mark by acting like we are better than others and sometimes by not listening. Sometimes we miss the mark by telling lies and sometimes by hurting people's feelings. Sometimes we miss the mark by being selfish and sometimes losing our temper. God, none of us are perfect. We remember the times we have missed the mark so that next time we can do better. Forgive us and help us to try harder. Help us to learn from our mistakes. Help us to be the best people that we can.
Thank you so much, Bennett. We're going to turn to page 142 for Aleinu. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shampeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, ונוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ימעל, ושינת זו בגויים מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Welcome to be seated. As we prepare for Mourner's Kaddish this morning, I'd like to share a reading which can be found on page 144 by Hannah Senish. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. So it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep on shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember.
If you are observing an anniversary of a death or in a time of mourning for a close loved one, and you'd like to share a name of someone you're remembering today, please feel free to stand and I'll call on you. Heather. May their memories be a blessing for all those we are thinking of and remembering today. May their memories be for an eternal blessing. May we honor them in word and deed. I invite you to rise, as is your custom, on page 146 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman koriv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'miran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlam Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen.
We're welcome to be seated. You may have noticed that when we said Shamnu before, that in English it was roughly an alphabetical order, and in Hebrew it was an alphabetical order. And we call that an acrostic when we go down from A to Z. And so as we move to conclude tonight, we want to end with recognizing the good, with Hakarat HaTov. So we turn to page 154, and I invite you to join me in reading this acrostic as we go together from A to Z, recognizing the good. We have achieved our goals. We have befriended others. We have cared for animals. We are delightful. We have embraced those who love us. We have faced forward in difficult times. We have given generously to those in need. We are helpers. We have invited others to play. We have joked with friends and family. We have kept keepsakes that make us laugh and smile. We are loving. We have made special memories. We have never given up. We have opened our hearts to others. We have protected the environment. We have been quiet when it was time for quiet. We have also been really, really loud. We have shared our ideas. We have tried our best. We have looked under rocks to see what's hiding there. We have created vibrant artwork. We have worked hard in school. We have grown exponentially. We have surprised you. We have comforted you. We have loved you. We have lived a full year with wholehearted zest, as only children do. So it's not quite time for all of you to leave this holy space, but it is time for me to leave this holy space so that I can go teach a class on Zoom. It's been a pleasure being with you And I want to close on page 155 with a reading. As we leave this holy space, we remember the work that we have done over the past 10 days. We remember all the reasons why we said, I am sorry, to our parents, our children, our families, and our friends. We also remember that you, God, are with us always and protect us and forgive us. We thank you, God, for also giving us these days to celebrate with family and friends and remember that we are part of a larger Jewish community. We look forward to joining together again next year and once again hearing the sound of the shofar. So while Rabbi Schaefer goes to teach his class, we get to have a special opportunity just to get quiet for a minute or so and just take in all the words that you've said, the words we've shared, the melodies of today and of Rosh Hashanah and the days in between. On Yom Kippur, we talk about the end of the day, that the gates are closing, the gates of teshuvah, of committing ourselves to be the best version of ourselves. But the truth is, our tradition teaches that the gates are really always open because we as human beings are able to grow and change from the time we are born until the time we die. Every single moment is a time for us to do better and to grow and learn and change. So today we're making a promise to ourselves and to each other and to God that we are going to keep the gates of our heart open so that we can continue to grow and learn and change. And I know that all the things on the list we just said, of all the things that we've done right, that you're going to continue into this new year to do all of those things and so much more. And we're so lucky to have all of you as part of our community to enjoy the gifts and blessings that we can give to one another. So I want to ask everyone to close your eyes if you'd like and just take a moment before we hear the final shofar call. Of course, later today we will blow shofar at the end of Ne'ilah, but for those of you who won't be able to join us here or on the live stream, you'll be able to hear the shofar just one final time. Let's be quiet for a moment. Now I'd like to invite Joshua Paradise to come up and blow shofar. Thank you, Josh. And this will be our Tekiah Gedolah that calls out to us saying, open your hearts, open your hearts. Let this new year come in, be a blessing in the new year. Tekiah Gedolah. Yasher Koach. May that sound ring out in your hearts even throughout the year when we're not hearing it. May it be a reminder. So we are going to turn to the conclusion of our service with where we say the Shema. I don't have a page number. So it's traditional at the end of Yom Kippur to say the Shema. And then another line, we say the Shema, we say Baruch Shem Kavod, and we say Adonai Hu HaElohim. Adonai is God. We're on page 156. Please say Shema with me. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Now we're going to say Adonai Hu HaElohim 7 times, a number representing wholeness and completion.
Adonai hu Elohim. 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 We'll conclude singing Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, symbolizing our people's hopes that next year will be better, that next year we will be together in Jerusalem. But Jerusalem can mean the physical Jerusalem, where I certainly hope we will be together because we'll take a congregational trip as soon as it's safe. Yes. But Jerusalem can mean just that we are together as Jewish community. And I'd like to say Lashana Haba'ah with hugs and handshakes and being together more closely without the worries that we have right now. That is my prayer for this year. Thank you all for your flexibility and being here today with masks on and with the rain. And before we sing our final song, just a reminder that we are having our Yizkor Memorial Service at 5 p.m. And at around 5:45 or 5:50, we don't know exactly, but we'll transition with a few minutes in between into our Ne'ilah service, our concluding service. So if you're planning on just coming to the final service, be here by 5:45. And then we'll close out Yom Kippur with that final service and that final shofar blast at that time.
Thank you, Matthew Desi, for running tech for
Thank
us
you.
for Family Services.
And thanks again to Max Kesselheim for your beautiful music. And thank you to our readers today. You did a wonderful job.
Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim. Put those hands together. Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, Lashana Haba'ah. Nice. B'Yerushalayim, Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim. One more time. Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim.
Gemar Chatima Tova. May everyone be sealed for a good life in the book of life in the coming year. Thank you so much for being here. It was wonderful to be together.